Hi, I'm Richard from the Grammar Goat English Academy. Welcome to my English language lesson. Today it's a grammar lesson all about should. If you learn something from my video, which I'm sure you will, don't forget to like it and of course subscribe to my channel. You can also click on the bell for notifications about my next videos. Are you ready to start my English language lesson? Okay, let's begin. We use should in English to say that something is a good idea or not a good idea. We use should to give advice. Should belongs to a group of special verbs in English called modal verbs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about modal verbs later in the video. Remember the contraction as well. To make a negative sentence, we can add not. Should not, shouldn't. Okay, let's look at the grammar pattern and some example sentences using should. Here's the grammar pattern at the top of the screen. Should or should not, shouldn't, plus a bare infinitive. Bare infinitive means the verb without to. Also, there's an example sentence. Now, my wife always says this to me. You shouldn't work so hard. This is an example of a negative sentence. The second example, I always say to my son, you should save your money. This is an example of an affirmative, a positive sentence. Okay, it's time to practice using should to give advice. Look at the emoji and the sentence. Can you give the person advice? So the first one, I'm very hungry. What is your advice? My advice is you should cook. There are many other possible answers. What was your answer? You can write it for me to read in the comments. Here's the next example. I'm very tired. What is your advice? Here's mine. You should sleep. Or you should go to bed. How about you? What advice did you give? Again, write it please in the comments. Number 3 now. I want to learn Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but I want to get better. What is your advice? Here is my advice. You should study online. What was your advice? Again, you can write it in the comments. As I said at the start of the lesson, should belongs to a group of special verbs called modal verbs. Let's look now at some common tendencies of modal verbs. Modal verbs like should have no third person. So it's I should, you should, also he, she, it should. It doesn't change in the third person. Also, we can make questions and negatives using should and shouldn't. We don't need do or does. Look at the examples. Should we eat? Question. We shouldn't eat. Negative. Like all modal verbs, it has no future form. Look at my example. Tomorrow you should call your sister. So it doesn't change when we talk about future time. Finally, should and other modal verbs have no past form. If we want to use it in past time, we need to add have plus the past participle. Verb 3. Look at my example. I should have phoned yesterday. Okay, more practice now. Change the sentence into the form in brackets. Number 1. We should eat more vegetables. Change the sentence into she. Here is the answer. Remember, modal verbs like should have no third person form, so it stays the same. She should eat more vegetables. Number 2. Make the sentence negative with not. Here's the answer. They should not run, or the contraction, they shouldn't run. Remember, we use contractions when we speak in English. When we're writing formally or academically, we don't use contractions. We use the full forms. Number 3. The students should wear school uniform. Change it into a question. Okay, here's the answer. Remember, we can use modal verbs to make our questions. We don't need do or does. So the question is, should the students wear school uniform? Next, I should work from home. Change the sentence into a future time sentence with tomorrow. I should work from home tomorrow. Modal verbs don't change when we use them to talk about future time. Note here, we can also put our adverb tomorrow at the start of the sentence. So we could also say, tomorrow I should work from home. Put the sentence into past time with yesterday. Remember, you might need to add some extra words here. Here's the answer. I should have worked from home yesterday. Remember, when we use should and other modal verbs in past time, add have plus the past participle. Here, the past participle is worked. Okay, how did you do with these examples? I hope you've learned something from my lesson. If you have, don't forget to like the video and of course subscribe to my channel. You can also click on the bell for notifications about future videos. Thank you very much for watching my video. See you in the next lesson.